Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Title Time. I'm your host, Jason. Man, it is week 4 of the NFL schedule, and one thing I've noticed is I don't know how on the show that I'm a host of, we have an intro and it doesn't have the Bucks. Like, I don't understand that at all. I got to get our people on this.
They only put good players on good teams in the intro.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I saw Eagles. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the case at all. Anyway, I'm your host, Jason, here on the Toilets to Titles Network. With me, as always, I'm going to kick it over to Mom first because he's beardless. She's getting soft and pretty, Mom, these days. So, Justin, go ahead, say good morning.
I was beardless last week too, but thanks for noticing.
I'm pretty sure I said something about it last week too, but
I'm still a little down. I've had some back issues this last half of the week. Not sure how much I'm going to be able to make it through today, but we're gonna give it a go. I'm gonna try to keep it with an odd number here as much as I can for you.
And I will say that Justin is playing injured, so he was a game time decision. He decided to give it a go, so we appreciate that from Justin. I'm gonna kick it down to Frito down below there, and I don't know where Frito is, but it still must be dark outside because it is dark in Frito's house. How you doing this morning, Frito?
I'm doing great. I'm up actually in the man cave, which is formerly known as Keegan's room. He's asleep over on the bed right now, so he's going to be hearing us talk the whole time. So, great week. Been dealing with, actually, we had this huge hailstorm that came through. They call it a mesocyclone that hit ours and pretty much damaged all our vehicles, my house. Juster came out, they're totaling the roof and everything. So, been dealing with, anytime something like that happens, you have all these vultures from out of state and in state that start out in your house and everything like, oh, you need this for your roof and all that. So, dealing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it is a nice way to get a new roof without having to pay for the bulk of it, though, I got to say. Being in Florida, we kind of know all about that. I'm going to kick it over to David. I know David's had kind of a rough week, so I appreciate him being here this morning. How you doing this week, David, outside of what you got going on? What's new in your life?
I mean, all the craziness, and this is actually my break from all of it and my relaxation time. So I'm ready to do it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a break from the grind for sure. And then speaking of that, I've got George up in the top corner. George, I have no idea what you've done this week. We haven't talked at all. So how you been, man?
We talked the other day. Anyway, I see it was memorable, but that's okay. So I just want to throw a public service announcement out there for everybody. It is September. We're getting ready to head into October. If you're outside of Florida, the leaves are going to start turning colors. The temperature's going to start cooling off a little. But most importantly, it's an election season. And I know we don't talk politics here, but I just want to say if you get the opportunity, go out and vote for Frank. That's all I want to say. That's who we endorse here is Frank. So go out and vote for Frank.
That's very, very fair. I do also want to mention you did say September is just about ending. Who's ever closest to Green Day's house, please wake Billy Joel up. Because September is just about to end.
Yep.
Anyway, bad jokes abound this morning. I do want to also mention that we have a Patreon. After coming off of that joke, that's the kind of thing you get here. You don't get anybody anywhere else. Just terrible, terrible jokes. So patreon.com/toilets-title. I'll come over to your house and tell you bad jokes all day. Mark. Good morning, Mark. I'm going to finish talking about Patreon, and then I'm going to
speaking of bad jokes,
introduce you. So patreon.com/toilets-titles. We have a tier for every salary. We start down at the bottom, and then we go all the way up to Justin rubbing his soft face against your skin. We go low, we go high. So patreon.com/toilets-titles. Without further ado, I do want to mention Mark Simon is on the show. Good morning, Mark. How you doing?
Good morning.
I just want to mention Justin rubbing his face against your face. That's the free tier. He just enjoys doing it.
I was trying to upsell it. But all right, guys. Same question that I always ask, and I'm going to start with the last guy in. Mark, what is the game that has nothing to do with your favorite team that you are most looking forward to today?
Not a great game, but I'm going with the Bengals and Panthers because I have both the quarterbacks in Frankenstein, so I need a big game out of both of them.
I look with the way both of those defenses play, you might actually get it. Plus, who knew in 2024 we'd get an Andy Dalton revenge game?
That's right. I was just about to say there's an Andy Dalton revenge game there. So, interesting fact, Andy Dalton has played against every single team that he's ever played for.
George, you should let other people tell you that facts are interesting. Go ahead.
That is an interesting fact. Every team he's been on, he's played against. That's kind of interesting.
Not only
Fitzpatrick hit that.
Fitzpatrick has not. Josh Johnson, or whatever the heck his name is, who's played for like basically every team, has not played against every team he's ever played for.
Justin, you had your finger up.
Yeah, I was going to say, not only are we interested in 2024 in a Andy Dalton revenge game, but we're actually interested in an Andy Dalton-led offense for fantasy purposes that involves other players that we're now actually interested in 2024. So that's kind of wild too.
Down and dirty, I'm playing Deontay Johnson in a league.
Yeah.
Like it just, I saw it last week. I was happy with what I saw. You saw kind of what you were hoping for out of him, something you didn't get out of Bryce Young. So,
They did a lot to improve that offense this offseason, and they really should have been playing better. So hopefully that wasn't just a 1 week thing, and it really was just Bryce Young is that bad all along.
All right, Justin, since you've been chatting this whole time, we'll let you say which game you're most looking forward to.
Yeah, well, obviously, Mark kind of stole mine because for all the same reasons that we've been talking about, I've been kind of looking forward to that one. But I will say, I mean, the Bills and the Ravens on Sunday night is a pretty juicy one for fantasy purposes, and I have both of the team defenses in a lot of leagues. So, but obviously, I went out to stream other defenses this week. Kind of crazy. You have those two defenses and you're still streaming defenses because you don't like the matchups. But that's because of how much I really love the offenses this week. So it's going to be a fun game where a lot of fantasy matchups will be on the line on Sunday night. So I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, me too. Yeah, that is the game of the week. It's weird how NBC always kind of ends up, of all the primetime games, ends up with the best one. Rich, I mean, who couldn't have seen that game this far into the season being a good one, though? I guess.
Right.
Rich, go ahead. What's your favorite this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna steal it before George does. The Washington Commanders and the Arizona Cardinals game. It's the highest over/under game. At 49. Just a lot of exciting players in this game and stuff like that. From the rookie QB Daniels to Kyler Murray coming back and having rookie receiver Marvin Harrison. Yeah, Eckler's out, so Brian Robinson, he's been doing awesome with Eckler in there, but man, just more load put on him. And then George's favorite McLaurin had a huge game last week, and I like him to continue his run that he had out of last week. So that's going to be a very exciting game.
I like that one too. And then David, we'll go with you next.
I'm going to go with the Seahawks and the Lions. I think the Lions have been a little asleep lately. They're going to wake up, I think, against Seattle, who, as nice as they looked, they've kind of had a cush schedule so far. So I'll be interested to see if they are for real, or if the Lions are going to, wake up and start performing the way we expected them to.
Oh, come on. You're saying Miami with Skylar Thompson is a cush? George,
Yes.
Defend your team, man. Defend your team.
It's easy. Skylar Thompson's not starting. It's Snoop Huntley.
Well, that was last.
Skylar
that
Thompson.
was
We got ourselves another Pro Bowl quarterback starting down in Miami. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I was talking about last week.
Oh well, we don't dwell in the past, Jason. We look to the future.
Well, what's your team what's your game this week?
The game of the week for me this week is two NFC North teams. It's going to be the Vikings and the Packers. Winner of this game potentially could be the number one seed in the NFC North, depending on what happens with the Lions. Two really good teams, two really good offenses, pretty decent quarterbacks. Jordan Love's supposed to be back for this game, so a lot of things to look forward to in that game right there. So that's actually going to be my game of the week.
All right. That's around the horn. We are I'm going to go to a Twitter question first because it didn't come over to the chat, but it was asked pretty early. So from Jaleb Guthrie on Twitter, start 2, JSN, Olave, and Flowers. We need to not start one of these. I'm going to start with Mark.
Well, first of all, it's going to come down. I believe Olave is the game time decision. If he plays,
he's expected to play. They've already come out and said that they expect him to play.
Okay. So if he's playing, I'm going to go Olave and Flowers. I just think JSN's too up and down for me right now. Crazy, I'm taking a wide receiver from Lamar Jackson, but that's where we're at.
He didn't have many, so you might as well take the best one. Rich?
Yeah, I think I'm going Olave and Flowers too, with Olave starting. JSN is interesting. Look, he's been consistent. Lockett actually had a good game last week that kind of makes me push JSN back down. But Flowers, obviously, their number one threat. He's been thriving. And look, Olave looked good last week in the game last week, but the injury thing is the only thing that was really kind of pushing if he was going to be available this week or not. So if he's in there, I look for him to continue what he started last week too. So maybe some good consistency going forward.
All right, that's 2 for Olave and Flowers. David?
Yeah, I don't like anybody for the Ravens this week. The Bills have been, and I hate saying it because I have a bunch of family members who are Bills fans and I haven't stopped hearing about it. They've looked like possibly the best team in football right now. I don't understand how the Ravens are even favored in this game. I'm going JSN and Olave.
All right, so that's 1 for JSN and Olave. Justin?
Yeah, if Olave plays, he's got to be the guy here for the must start. On the other end, when it comes to the Ravens, there are guys I like, but it's not Flowers. I'm actually into Isaiah Likely this week because the Bills, when they give up yards in the air, it's up the middle to tight ends. So he runs a lot of middle routes. They're still trying to slowly bring Andrews back from his injury from the looks of it. So I do like Likely this week. But Flowers struggles on the outside against good coverage, and the Bills have good coverage in that secondary. JSN has gotten most of his fantasy points this year from the slot. You've got a healthy DK. You've got a healthy Lockett. JSN's going to be going up against the second worst pass defense in the league, and most of the points that the Lions give up in the receiving game are to the slot guy. JSN's going to have a huge game this week. I'm going to go with Olave and JSN.
All right, and then George, you're going to have to break the tie here.
Yeah, so Olave for me is a clear go. If he plays, he plays. You start him. Outside of him, between JSN and Flowers, I'm actually leaning Zay Flowers. This is expected to be a pretty high-scoring game. I want to go with the guy who is going to have to be relied on by Lamar Jackson to score. So I'm going to go with Zay Flowers.
All right, so our answer ends up being Zay Flowers and Olave, but it was tight, guys. So, we might be able to break the tie for you, but go with your gut there. Krana says, "What's up, boys? Justin, your Colts may have won a good win, but the winner was Caleb. He looked great, and I'm excited today for his matchup." Listen, Caleb's final stats looked good. I don't know.
No, they didn't. His yards look good.
Well,
listen. The Colts are playing their third string defensive secondary. They're so banged up in that secondary, and he was able to pull out like 300 plus yards. I'm pulling it up right at 363 yards. That's amazing. The touchdowns were decent, but he had 3 turnovers. He was the only reason the Colts won that game, because Anthony Richardson tried to do everything he could to give you guys that win on a silver platter. I'm telling you, against any other defense, against any other secondary, now maybe he does good again this week because the Rams are also completely screwed over in that backfield with playing backups. So I'm right there with you, Mark. I feel your pain. But, I mean, once he gets back into playing actual defenses, I don't know. You just got to hope he keeps progressing with these preseason level defenses through this stretch here, and hope it doesn't come back to bite him, I guess. But, yes, he did look good in the yardage category, but I thought he looked ugly on the field personally.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rookie. The one thing I'll say is there are flashes there where you can see potential.
Yes.
Unlike
Anthony Richardson.
Well, unlike Young, right? Like, Young looked bad at the beginning of last season too, kind of like Caleb looked bad at the beginning of the season. The one thing you always want to see from a rookie is like moments where it looks like they get it. And you do see some of those from Caleb,
Sure.
so like it's not super easy to just write him off going forward because there are definitely moments, and he's physically gifted and talented. So it's a much better situation than Carolina was in. But you know, if it doesn't work out, they can always sign Andy Dalton. So this is next comment here. No McBride. Options are Likely, Schultz, Muth, Conklin, Ertz, Gesicki, Elijah Higgins, or Parkinson. Oof, that is a who's who of tight ends there. George, dig through the ugly and find us a gem this week.
There are no gems. I'm going to go Zach Ertz against Arizona. They're the 13th best matchup for tight ends. So last year, I mean, if you played at Arizona, you started your tight end. Not a whole lot has really changed on that defense. So I'm going to go with Ertz here, but I'm not a big fan of much of any of these options.
Rich.
Well, I was kind of, if I want to be safe, I'm actually going to go Conklin. But if I want to go upside and stuff like that, I'm actually going to go with the backup to McBride, Elijah Higgins, and everything. Like I said, that is going to be a high-scoring game. With McBride not being in the game, the focus is going to go to, obviously, Harrison Jr. Connor is going to have a lot of work, but he could sneakily produce some good numbers in this game as the backup. Murray does like going to his tight ends. I don't see that going away, but if you want high upside, I'm taking Elijah Higgins. If you want the safe play, I'm going Conklin.
All right. So officially, I think we'll say Higgins there for Rich, but Dave, what do you think?
I think upside and opportunity go to Conklin. Wow, I just almost said Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers has always liked his tight ends, especially when his number one option is taken away. I don't think the Broncos stand a chance in this game, but I do know that PS2 is going to be blanketing Garrett Wilson, and Conklin there then becomes the number one guy for me. So,
all right. So Conklin, two kind of for Conklin, one for Ertz. Justin.
Man, I think so. The thing is like with Conklin, he leads the league in routes ran for tight ends, but he only has 10 targets in 3 games, so he's barely averaging 3 targets per game. I do agree that his target share will go up this week because of the defensive matchups on the wide receivers. It's just such a low volume, and they're a run team. And against Denver, I just feel like they're going to – man, I want to go Conklin, but I think I'm going to go with Freiermuth, actually, because Freiermuth's stats – let me pull that up real quick because that was interesting for me. Freiermuth, and he has 4 catches for 27 yards, 4 catches for 39 yards, 4 catches for 33 yards. So he's going to have 4 catches and about 30 yards. So
a typical tight end game.
But that's against 3 defenses that are middle of the road against tight ends. He's playing the Colts this week, and we've already talked about how bad that secondary is. Their linebackers aren't much better. I believe they give up like the 5th most fantasy points to tight ends or something like that. Freiermuth now is going to get you that 4 catches for 30 yards, but he also will probably get you a touchdown this week. So I think I'm going to go with Freiermuth.
All right, so 1 Freiermuth, 1 Ertz, 1 Conklin, 1 Higgins.
Mark. We're no help.
No, we are, because Jason's going to break the tie.
Real quick before he goes, they just said Joe Mixon is out.
Okay. Well, let me go set that line up real quick.
I was going to say that helps me immensely because I was trying to decide between him and somebody else. So that's good news. Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, Jason, you're definitely going to be breaking the tie because I am a big Higgins fan, but this week I'm actually going to go with a guy who's done absolutely nothing so far this season. I'm going with Schultz. He has his best matchup he has all season, and the Jaguars are giving up ugly 497 yards after the catch, worst in the NFL. I feel like he has an opportunity here. The Texans have gone against 2 very tough defenses the past 2 weeks. So I expect it to be a high-scoring game for Houston with a lot of passing yards, and I feel like Schultz will get some of them.
Let me ask you, Justin, circling back on this, did you notice Likely was there? Because you were...
That's what I was about to say. I just now saw that Likely was on the list, and I said at the top of the show Likely's going to have a big game. I'm switching mine to Likely, and it's actually really easy for me now that I see that.
I mean, that doesn't help us. We're still tied all the way across the board.
So you can let me choose twice, and we're still tied.
Yeah. I mean, you chose 2 different people that nobody else chose, so you could actually take them both, and it still wouldn't help you.
So with Justin's 2 picks, did we hit every tight end or no?
We still need Gesicki. Okay, I'll take Gesicki, and we'll Yahtzee.
Oh, come on! Don't do that to Krana. Krana's a good guy.
I mean, look, I'd love for it to be Likely after week 1. He was very good week 1, obviously, and hasn't done anything since.
Nothing since.
That offense seems to have gone away from using the tight end completely, which makes almost no sense because they don't really have much else, right? So, like, hey, we have a couple of decent tight ends that are athletic. Maybe we should use them, but really what they're just doing is running the ball. And then I don't like that there's 3 tight ends and I forget the third guy's name because he's inconsequential to fantasy football, but there's 3 tight ends that are on the field at any given time for the Ravens. So I'm not a big fan of starting one of those guys this week. If looking back at like my rough rankings that I started, I had Freiermuth higher. Wait, you traded off Freiermuth, so I can't take him either. Sorry, we'll reset there. Look, George said Ertz, right?
Yep.
I very much think Ertz is the safe play. I think he's a 5 reception, 30 some odd yards. You're going to get 8 points out of him. He's not going to win you a week. He's not going to hurt you. In this tight end landscape, 8 points is probably more than what your opponent's going to get because he's going to start Mark Andrews for 0 or Travis Kelce for 4 or one of these other guys for 6. So I for me, the safety here is Ertz. When I watched the Commanders game last week, it felt like Ertz was super important to that offense. It felt like he was super active. And then you go back and look at his stats, and they are what they are, right? They're not very good, but it felt like he was getting catch after catch. So I don't know. I think Ertz is probably your safe bet here, and that's probably what you need from the tight end, just so you don't get a goose egg from one of these other guys. So
yeah, Ertz was 5. He had 5 receptions for 38 yards.
I was pretty close then. I was pretty dang close. I think I said 36.
The week before he was 4 for 62, and then 3 for 28. So he's a middling tight end.
Yeah, I think he gets you a safe floor. And I think that's kind of what you need out of tight ends. If you take home run shots, you end up with a 0. and that just hurts. Go ahead, Dave.
Go to the latest comment. It relates to this one.
Oh, okay. Down at the bottom. So y'all just decided definitely not Gesicki. Listen, I was big on Gesicki before the season. I think he'll be okay. Joe Burrow makes a no-name tight end relevant every year. The problem with that is you never know what weeks that he does that on.
The
Could be
problem
this
is
one against the Panthers.
the problem with Mike Gesicki and Joe Burrow is not able to lift middling, untalented tight ends like Tua Tagovailoa is able to. That's the problem. Is what it really is.
Okay. Krana says flex
He
two.
just
I'm
giggles
just
and
moving.
says, "Okay."
Yeah, we're just moving on. Just moving on. Flex 2 PPR. Jennings, Shakir, Trey Tucker, Dortch, Mike Wilson, Daryl Patterson, and Spears. Crana, buddy. What is this lineup question? This is... All right, well, that's why we're here. We're here to help you get through this. I'm going to go with Rich first.
So the number one option here is going to be Shakir. I think we could probably all agree on that one. So it really comes down to who's going to be your number two.
And with this list, they're all number two.
Yeah. Now, a couple of them do have some potential today and everything. Obviously, the number two pick that a lot of people are going to want to lean to is Jennings. After the big week he had last week, he's still going to be involved in the offense, but he ain't going to have a game like he did last week. So if you're wanting to get, I'm still expecting at least 10 fantasy points from him compared to some of these other receivers. Cordell Patterson is an interesting play down in Pittsburgh with Warren being out and everything because he does have the capability of receiving. Trey Tucker is going to have some upside with Devontae Adams being out today with the Raiders game. So with all that being said, by elimination, I'm going Shakir and Jennings.
Shakir and Jennings. All right, David, I see you nodding. Are you in that?
Yeah, I didn't even think it was a question as far as I'm concerned. It's Shakir and Jennings for me.
All right. Justin.
I'm not sure that the 49ers are going to have to throw the ball too much this week against the Patriots, and that's the only reason I'm kind of hesitant on Jennings for this week. Normally, I'm probably still moving forward going to flex Jennings in a lot of spots, depending on the matchup. But for this week, I can agree that Shakir is in there, but I'm going to go with Michael Wilson. Without Trey McBride there, Wilson has been getting a lot of targets, and he's going to have a lot more opportunity even today without McBride there. And I know everybody wants to bump up Higgins, but I think all that does is it shifts the targets to another guy. I think Wilson gets open a lot this week, and he's had a pretty solid season for a wide receiver too on a team. And they go up against Washington this week. Am I right?
Yes.
Wilson. So they're like the worst in the league against wide receivers. So to me, I'm going to go with Michael Wilson and Shakir.
Well, so question, you're taking Michael Wilson over Dortch then? Same team, same all. Okay.
Yeah, because Dortch is behind him on the depth chart.
Mark.
And also Dortch hasn't done much this season. Michael Wilson has.
So yeah, Justin took pretty much exactly what I was going to say. I've been big on Michael Wilson, and I feel like with the injury, he's going to get even more of an opportunity. I know we've all been questioning Jennings, but I didn't hear anybody mention the reason I'm questioning Jennings is Debo is back this week. So with Debo being back, I don't know how involved in the offense he's actually going to be. Clearly against the Rams, he was the highest targeted receiver, but with Debo back, I don't know if that stands true.
I also think Kittle's back this week too. So, I mean, different position, obviously, but just another. You shaking your head, George? He's not back?
Nope. No, Kittle's not back yet.
I thought he was.
Are we sure? Because I'm pretty sure he is.
I didn't see.
I think it was 3:00 this morning whenever Sleeper said
Kittle good to go for week 4.
Okay. All right. See, I didn't see that. What's it called?
Olave and Kamara also have just been announced as active today.
Yep, I got that.
So, Okay, well, with that said, George, who do you got?
I'm still going to go with Shakira and Jennings. No, I don't expect Jennings to have 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think we probably witnessed his best game of the week last week, best game of the year last week, excuse me. Jennings has been on that team for quite a while. He knows the system. He's still, even with those guys. Hey, look, it's the baby. We got Burrow. I don't know where Joe's at, but there. Oops, sorry, we were both doing the same thing. There's Burrow. Joe's with Mama apparently, but he even with those guys in the lineup, he's still playing over half the snaps for the 49ers. He's running routes on approximately 60% of the snaps. I'm still going to go with Jennings here over the rest of these guys who honestly are a huge question mark. I do like Cordell Patterson. I would switch to Cordell Patterson if Najee Harris is ruled out. I know he's dealing with an injury as well. I know Jaylen Warren is already been ruled out. So I would change to Patterson if Najee gets ruled out. But outside of that, I'm going with Jennings and Shakira.
All right, and that's who got the most votes. So it's going to be Jennings and Shakir. And poor Burrow, cute little cough.
I don't think he liked that take.
No, and that was his dad's take too. So that was dad's take. Deontay or Pollard flex PPR. Let's go, Mark.
I'm in on Deontay. I know he has a little groin injury going into the game, but they said he should be good to go. Cincinnati's secondary is horrendous. Deontay for me.
I need to know where Mark gets his information from. A little groin injury?
Yeah, and I don't know if Deontay wants to be known as Little Groin. Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, man. Situations like this, I usually go running back with Pollard. Titans are playing who again?
Dolphins.
Yeah, look, I'm going to my wheelhouse. In flex, I'm always putting a running back in, so I'm putting Pollard over Deontay.
All right, one for Deontay, one for Pollard. David?
I'm going to go Deontay.
Okay, 2 Deontay, 1 for Pollard. Justin?
I'm going to tie it up and go on Pollard. I like the PPR output for tonight. I think that the Bengals have a little bit better secondary than we like to give them credit for. So it's a tough one. But just like Rich said, if it's that close, I'm the tie goes to the running back for me. But I want to know who you're starting over Deontay at wide receiver this week.
Well, and then Georgia, I'm sorry to make you the tiebreaker this week. I'll do better on the next question, but go ahead. You're breaking the tie.
I'm going with Deontay here. I loved what I've seen with him last week with Andy Dalton. They actually have a professional NFL caliber quarterback back there finally. I'm going to go with Deontay here.
All right.
If I would have said big groin injury, it would have scared you away.
Nope. I'm not afraid of the big groins or the small groins. I'm sorry. I just want to know where you get your information from, though.
George takes all groins. That's what we learned here
Adam
today.
Schefter probably told him. That's how he gets his information.
Carson Steele or Bucky Irving flex PPR? Let's start with George.
Oof. I'm going to go with Carson Steele just because Bucky Irvin's dealing with an injury.
Yeah, the only thing there is so is Rachaad White. So it's not like they're going to pull Bucky off the field to put in an injured Rachaad White. Like they're both hurt. So
yeah, the matchup is a lot better for Carson Steele as well. The Chargers are ranked 12th against the run, and Philadelphia is ranked 4th against the run. So,
and again, third week in a row, the right tackle for the Bucs is out in concussion protocol. So, offensive line woe still for the Bucs. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, Bucky Irving is dealing with a medium-sized hamstring, and Rachaad White has an illness. So, I don't really like much at all in that backfield. So, And Carson Steele, man, he's still out there chugging along. He's gonna run forward. He's gonna fall forward. He's gonna get 4 yards of carry, and he's gonna average out to about 9 or 10 points, which I think beats out Bucky Irving this week. So, yeah, give me Carson Steele.
David, you on Carson Steele's side, or do you think Kareem Hunt's going to take some of that work?
No, I want Carson Steele still.
All right, that's Steele. Rich is nodding yes, so I'm just going to say that he agrees. And then Mark shaking his head no. What do you got, Mark?
I'm going with Bucky. I watched a video from him from practice yesterday, and his movements looked fine to me. And Rachaad White's banged up too. And I've said before, I just think the Kansas City backfield is going to be a mess. And now they're bringing up Hunt to the active roster. Now, I'm not expecting him to go out and do a ton, but I mean, it's just another body there that they got to deal with. So I'm going Bucky Irving.
All right, and then Rich put his finger up. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Rich.
so to be real quick, this is the only week, and this is last week I'll go with any running backs from the Kansas City Chiefs and everything. So that's one reason why I'm going, because they're going to have a messed up backfield and everything. Look, Bucky Irving has been dealing with this issue all week and stuff like that. There was almost a chance he wasn't going to play and everything. The only thing with freaking White is the fact that it's just illness and everything. You could play through illness over injury and stuff like that. So, like I said, though, I'm going Carson Steele, but this will be the last week you'll hear me say anything from the Chiefs backfield.
Well, a couple things. One, CEH may come back sooner than later. I've heard within the next week or two. So that's going to be a fifth guy there that you have to worry about. And then on top of everything else, Rachaad White had a groin issue. I don't know if it was a little or a big one. We'll have to get Mark to analyze it for us. But he had a groin issue a couple weeks ago that seems to have lingered. It's not on the injury report, but like they mentioned last week, it was still bothering him. So he's just been banged up too. So
it was just a micro injury.
It was, yeah. Poor Rachaad. That's just terrible for him. All right. We got one more question here. Start Daniels over Hurts and Burrow in 6-point passing touchdowns. Anybody starting Daniels over Hurts? That's 2. Anybody starting? That's 3. All right, so that's it basically. We're starting Daniels over Hurts this week. How about Burrow? Anybody want to start Burrow over any?
I think she agrees that Daniels over Hurts.
I think it's kind of crazy. Daniels throws his first couple touchdown passes last week on the season against a horrible secondary, and now we're starting him over guys that we've drafted in the top 10 in Superflex leagues.
Have you seen Hurts this year? He leads the NFL in turnovers, and as rushing is down, he just hasn't been as impressive as expected. Now, I'm not sure I would agree with the second part of this over Burrow in a 6-point passing touchdown, but in a regular 4.1, I'd probably still start Daniels because he has the rushing upside.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The reason I'm starting Daniels is 16 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns, 10 carries for 44 yards, 12 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown. Those are his 3 games. He's at high-end RB2 level fantasy points just with his rushing alone. So his floor is like crazy good. Oh, and by the way, they're starting to throw the ball well too. I think there's just crazy high upside for this guy, and he's the QB3 overall after 3 games. So
not putting my finger on the scale, but I think not putting my finger on the scale here because we've already kind of decided Daniels is the guy as a group. But can you read those rushing totals again? Week 1, week 2, and 3.
Yeah, week 1 he had 16 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Who was that against again? I'm sorry.
More than Chase Brown.
Tampa Bay.
Who was that? Who's Hurts playing this week? Who's Hurts playing this week? I'm sorry.
Carolina.
No, Hurts.
Oh, Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah, okay.
Here's the problem.
Tampa's bad against rushing quarterbacks.
So is
tried.
So is the Cardinals, and that is who Jaden Daniels is playing.
My point is, it doesn't
mentioned,
matter who Jaden Daniels plays.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Mark mentioned that terrible secondaries. I'm sorry, but Arizona is not exactly a great secondary either. Like all three of these quarterbacks have wonderful matchups. They're all ranked inside my top 7. Jaden Daniels is at 4, Joe Burrow is at 6, and Jalen Hurts is 7. So we're splitting hairs on top 7 quarterbacks here, at least for me anyway. The problem is I think Jaden Daniels has the most upside and the safest floor with his rushing, as Justin mentioned. They're not just scrambling him out of the pocket. A lot of these are designed runs for him. So I'm not worried about, him going to go out and have a bad game. You don't need to throw the ball against Carolina to beat them. That's just been a thing. So I don't have any interest in Joe Burrow because he's not going to have to throw the ball a whole lot to beat Carolina. They just don't have to.
And we haven't seen enough with Hurts in this new offense to know for sure if it's play calling or if it's Hurts. So just because they're playing the Bucs doesn't necessarily mean they suddenly start to run the ball with designed quarterback rushing. And that tush push is only going to get you 3 yards a touch.
I just know everybody was so excited after week 1 to throw Daniels in the lineup against the horrible New York Giants, and
it's paid off. It's paid off every week.
He put up 13 points in week 2. He had 44 rushing yards and 226 yards passing and no touchdowns in week 2. It didn't pay off in week 2.
All right. Well,
listen, Jalen Hurts only has 3 passing touchdowns on the season.
Okay.
How many does Daniels have? I don't know. Anyway,
2.
I mean,
but he's also got more rushing touchdowns than Hurts. He's got more rushing yards than Hurts.
All right, we're going to move on.
Change the subject.
we already took Daniels. Crana says Kamara or B-Rob Jr. in a flex. George.
Oof. No Austin Eckler. It's still got to be Kamara, right? Like the way he's been playing this year. I'm sorry. I want to play both of these guys. I want to know who you're starting over either one of these. Seeing this is your flex. But I'm still going to go with Kamara. They both have high upside, in my opinion. But I can't. The way Kamara's played so far this year, I cannot sit him. He's going up against Atlanta. I trust Alvin Kamara to be able to do more against Atlanta's defense than I do Robinson. He's going up against Arizona. I'm still going to go Kamara. I'm going to go Kamara. They're both good defenses.
A lot of juicy matchups this week.
It is.
Mark, go ahead.
I'm with George. I'm not benching Kamara, but Robinson, yeah, if you can fit him in your lineup, get him in there. There's no reason not to. The way he's been playing, and now with Eckler out, yeah.
All right. I think I saw Rich shaking his head no. So, Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, look, it is a close matchup and stuff like that. I mean, man, I would love to have both of them. For me, I know Kamara's been dealing with injury, and there was almost a chance he wasn't going to play this week. So I'm going to go B. Robinson because there's no issues with him right now, and he's just in a good spot today. I mean, I know Kamara's too, but I'm going to take the healthier running back here and play B. Rob.
David?
I'm going to go B. Rob too. I was actually just looking it up. He's only Kamara specifically against the Falcons has only topped 100 total yards, not just rushing, not just receiving. 4 out of the 13 matchups. This is a division game. They play harder against each other. He's coming in banged up. Meanwhile, the Commanders are playing inspired. Brian Robinson doesn't have any competition with Eckler out. He's going to get all of the opportunity. I'm going to go B-Rob.
All right, and then Justin to break the tie.
I'm again super close. Love the matchups here, but I love the matchup for Robinson, but I'm still gonna go with Kamara. Yeah, you can't bench a top tier running back that's playing at a high level, no matter who he's playing against. And I definitely wouldn't be surprised if B-Rob wins out here, but I think I would rather kick myself in the butt for having Robinson on the bench and him going off for 2 touchdowns, and then to have Kamara on my bench and him going off for 4. Like, he's not going to get 4 touchdowns again, but if one of them is going to, it would be Kamara.
He won't get 4 touchdowns, but like last week, he can definitely go out and have 29 touches, which is what he did last week for 127 yards. He's not going to get a touchdown every week. That's just asking too much. But his usage is absolutely insane.
And he's yet to go for less than 100 total all-purpose yards all season.
Yep.
All right. And then, so that's Kamara for us. And finally, Metcalf or London in PPR. I'm going to start with Justin.
I'm going to go Metcalf. Just that secondary that they're facing with the Lions is like their only opportunity, I think, this week. I think the Lions stuff the run. I think the Lions have an opportunity to be ahead early enough to keep the Seahawks passing. And, I do like that we're seeing an increase in London this year. I was absolutely wrong on him as far as, like, I was completely out on him. Now I just kind of wish I would have rostered him in a couple spots. So I guess I'm not completely wrong on him. But I think I'm going to go Metcalf this week.
I think being completely out on him was wrong, but I think being out on him at his draft capital is still, even with what he's producing, is probably still right. Mark, what do you got?
I'm gonna go Metcalf here. Seattle's playing Detroit, and Detroit has shown they can completely take the running game out of a team's game plan. So Seattle's gonna have to throw the ball. So I feel like that's a lot of work for Metcalf.
Gino's been playing pretty dang well. So, George, what do you got?
Yeah, it's Metcalf for me. He's coming off a game where he had 104 yards and a touchdown on four receptions. He had a 71-yard touchdown. He's always good for a big play at any given week. I'm going to go with Metcalf here.
All right, and then that's 3. So anybody dissenting? David, Rich, anybody got a dissent towards London?
Hey, I've been pounding the house on Metcalf with you guys all year. Look, this offense, the coordinator that came in, when he designs the offense to focus on one receiver. Okay, when you have a receiver like DK Metcalf and everything, and you have these other 2 receivers that can take focus too, he's going to always be the one that gets the advantage of everything. Just like George said, he's always good for a long play and everything. You got to keep on riding him. Look, I've already said Metcalf is going to be a top 5 receiver this year at the end of the season and everything, and it just has proven my point the last games he's had. So if you have Metcalf, I don't see how you're pulling him out for anybody.
Well, and then Dustin down below says that Branch is now doubtful for the Lions. So
yep.
Branch being out makes it better for Metcalf. Is that where you're going to, David?
It is. London isn't, as far as I'm concerned, even clearly the number 1 wide receiver on his team. Mooney's doing just as well as London is, just with 1 less touchdown. And they're just throwing it more in Seattle. Both of their top 2 targets have over 20 targets. Meanwhile, Mooney and London are far and away their top 2, and they're at 18 and 19 right now. And I think that they're going to have to throw the ball to keep up with the Lions today. So
I do want to say Rich said pound the house. So we'll call him Hale for the rest of the day. Pound the house. All right. Steve, good morning, kids.
I'm actually texting him right now.
He says he has to start one in a PPR league. Pittman, you can sit that one. Sutton or Jennings?
You could sit Sutton, too. He ain't done nothing all year, and he's facing the Jets.
All right. So David says Jennings.
Yes, I do.
Mark.
This is a tough one. Yeah, I love Pittman too, but I'm probably going Jennings. It's just we haven't seen anything of Pittman with Richardson this season.
Rich.
Damn, this one's a tough one right here. I remember last year when we were saying never Sutton, he had a great year last year. And then it's like this year, he has like 27 targets, but only 12 catches. And stuff. That's like like 40% catch rate and everything. It's been horrible.
It's not even his. It's not even his fault.
What's that?
It's not even his fault.
No,
His quarterback sucks.
I get
Bo
it.
Nix is a terrible quarterback.
As a rookie QB, Pittman, man, it's same situation and stuff like that. So I hate saying it. I've been riding Jennings too. I'm gonna go Jennings this week too on this one.
All right, Justin.
So you said that Sutton had a great year last year. He finished as the wide receiver 38 in fantasy points per game and only missed one game. So he was a wide receiver 4 for fantasy rosters. And that was a great year for him.
It was a lot of touchdowns last year for him. I think that's where did he have double-digit touchdowns?
Yeah, he had 10 touchdowns and still finished as, on a points-per-game basis, a wide receiver 4. So you weren't starting him when he had those touchdowns because you couldn't trust it. So, if you did, he still didn't get you hardly any points those weeks, even with the touchdowns. Sutton sucks. He only got that because there were no other options. Now they have some other options. I mean, he's still getting a ton of targets and still is only the wide receiver 56 in fantasy points per game right now. So definitely never Sutton. That's a rule that I've lived by for 3 straight years now, and it rarely ever bites me in the ass.
Yeah, I believe Justin has a hate for Cortland Sutton as he does.
It's a passionate
for a few other players.
Yeah. And there's a reason for it though. This one never bites me in the ass. So that one's a no-brainer for me. But I already told Steve I was going Jennings.
All right. And then George, you agree?
Yeah, it's Jennings. I actually have Cortland Sutton and Jennings back to back in my rankings. So I'm going to stick true to the rankings here. I'm going to go Jennings over Sutton. The problem with Sutton is he's a good wide receiver. Man has had he's had terrible quarterback play. Russell Wilson, Bo Nix. Come on, those are terrible quarterbacks. Come on, Justin.
Okay.
The wide receiver, listen, you could add Jerry Rice in his prime. Prime Jerry Rice. Prime Randy Moss. Prime Terrell Owens with the quarterbacks he's had, and they would suck. They would be terrible wide receivers. Because
there might be something to that.
The wide receiver's only as good as the quarterback throwing the ball to them, and those quarterbacks suck.
That's not always true. That's not always true.
That absolutely is true.
Look at Justin Jefferson. He's good no matter who's throwing to him. He's making Sam Darnold look like
he's had better quarterbacks than Cortland Sutton's had throughout his entire career.
I agree. But are we going to
say then?
Jerry Jeudy's actually doing decent this year, by the way. I will say Jerry Jeudy's doing better than T. Higgins, even on a points per game basis. But anyway, but he still has a crappy quarterback too, and he's
better than Bo Nix. You can hate his quarterback all you want. He's better than Bo Nix.
But my point is, he's no longer the wide receiver 1 on a crappy team either. He went. Sutton went from being the wide receiver 2 on a crappy team, getting a ton of targets, to now the wide receiver 1 on a crappy team, getting a ton of targets, and nothing's changing.
Well, yeah, because not all targets are created equal. If you have a better quarterback, they can sustain 2 wide receivers. Where if you have a crappy quarterback like Bo Nix, it doesn't matter how many times you throw the ball. If the ball is not on target, then you're not going to be able to get any catches.
All right. Well, so we've got other questions to get to. The answer there was a unanimous Jennings. So we spent a lot of time on the question where we were unanimous.
Listen, I just wanted to take the opportunity to let everybody know I think Bo Nix sucks.
All right. Well, thank you, George. Appreciate that. We're moving on. Steve says, love with the knees or Cousins?
I love my knees.
Since it's your cousin or your uncle, Justin, I'm going to go with you first.
I'm gonna go with Love here, and it's. I mean, he does have the knee problem, but Cousins right now kind of has an efficiency problem, and he has a Saints problem. The Saints defense are playing really well right now, and then kind of another reason why I avoided the wide receiver in that previous question. So London in that previous question. So I'm gonna go with Love this week.
Okay, well, you love your cousin's uncle or something.
He loves his uncle's cousin.
It's a family thing. It's an Alabama thing. I don't know.
It's an Indianapolis thing. Jordan Love is ranked number 10 in my rankings. Kirk Cousins is number 21. I'm going to go with Jordan Love here.
Actually, let's do this. Anybody not going with Jordan Love?
I'm going Love, but I think it's closer. Minnesota's defense is very good, just like New Orleans is. But
just like Green Bay's is very good.
I'm going to lean the better quarterback.
All right. So
That'll
no
be a
love
good
for
game. It'll be a fun game.
no love for Cousins. Yet nobody picked it.
I did. What are you talking about?
Like I said, nobody picked it.
I picked. That's my game of the week.
I know.
Nobody.
Duarte 5656 says, "Good morning,
Duarte.
everyone." And then Bobby Ham
And Bobby
says,
Trauma.
"Yeah, all right." This
Listen,
one,
I just want to say that Bobby Trauma went ahead and fired the rest of us further down in the chat.
all right. Well,
Okay.
we'll get to that. Jimmy F says Anthony Richardson or Jaden Daniels. I'm gonna say we're all gonna say Daniels, and then I'm gonna let Justin talk.
I don't even have to. This one's not even close, and it's laughable. Like Anthony Richardson going against the Steelers, we might actually finally get to see him run the ball more, like he was built to do, because he's not going to have time for his first read. Watt's going to be on his ass immediately, and he's just going to have to tuck and run. And maybe that builds some confidence in him for the future of this season. Maybe. And I was talking to Dustin, the Patreon. Dustin's been a Patreon long enough and high enough, patreon.com/titles, that he has my cell phone number and he texts me and calls me, and we talk fantasy a lot. So I was talking to Dustin about this earlier, and Anthony Richardson has no confidence right now, and I agreed with him when he said that as well. But this might build some confidence for him moving forward if he can get some kind of running going against the Steelers. But he's still not going to get that passing game going at all, and his rushing upside for this week against the Steelers isn't anywhere near what Jaden Daniels is. And then you throw in the fact that Jaden Daniels knows how to throw it to an eligible and wide open wide receiver. I mean, this one's not even close.
Hey Justin,
I have a
Dustin
question related to it.
Dustin in that face rubbing tier on Patreon?
That's the free tier.
He was free. He was before we ever even had the Patreon.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, David. You probably had something.
I have a question related to this because I have Anthony Richardson in another league, and my other quarterback is Brock Purdy, coming in with the back issues or whatever. I still started Purdy just because of the matchup for Anthony Richardson, but it was my main question, the only one that I really questioned this week. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I'm still going Purdy. Like, even me with my back issues, I might start me over Anthony Richardson this week.
I'll give you even worse question: Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew this week?
Oof, that is a worse question.
How much do we hate Richardson now?
You know what? I'm against Cleveland. They're getting worse and worse as their injuries keep piling up on that defensive secondary. So honestly, I'd probably go Minshew. It's that bad. It is that bad.
Yeah, I got one
today, so I'd be playing Minshew.
I got one for you. These guys are back to back in my rankings: Anthony Richardson or Justin Fields.
I thought you were going to say Huntley.
No, it's a 16-team league. I got Anthony Richardson and Justin Fields as my two quarterbacks.
That might be the line. I might go.
They're back to back. I got Anthony Richardson at 16 and Justin Fields at 18.
I'm going Justin Fields there, and it's not close to me.
Me too.
And it's defense based right there because I have them right by each other too. But you got one facing the Steelers defense and TJ Watt, and you have the other one facing who?
Okay, how about Andy? How about Andy Dalton? Let's find the real line. How about Andy Dalton?
Andy Dalton's an
Andy
easy
Dalton.
week.
Yeah.
I would go Richardson.
Game, so.
I would have to go Richardson. I got to stick to my rankings here. I got Richardson 16, Andy Dalton 22.
I would go Richardson over Fields.
All right. I just had a question. We can move on to the next one.
We just answered a bunch of questions that didn't actually get asked. So
I got it. I would start Anthony Richardson over Bo Nix, who's going up against the Jets, and only because of the matchup for Bo Nix.
I bet you can't guess where I have Bo Nix in my rankings, Justin.
Probably below Richardson, but Jimmy, the point is,
you think?
is that we're all talking about Anthony Richardson with all these below level guys. We were talking about Jaden Daniels with the high level guys earlier. I don't think this one's even close. We can definitely move on.
Bo Nix, by the way, is number 29.
So not last.
No, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, and Jacoby Brissett are the only quarterbacks below him.
You told me you'd start Herbert over Nix when I asked you yesterday.
I probably would. I should probably adjust that. No, Nix is so bad.
He's not though. Like he's got decent rushing floor too.
Okay. Let me rephrase this. Bo Nix is a bad NFL quarterback.
Okay, I can agree with that. I'm talking fantasy though.
I know.
I think with Bo Nix, it's more the first two games he was running for his life. He looked comfortable last week because the Bucs couldn't pressure him at all, and that's common in especially rookie quarterbacks. If they're not getting pressured, then they could show a little bit of their talent, and we got to see that. We see he has the talent. He just has to get used to the NFL speed of things and how to read the defenses. Whether that's ever going to happen, we don't know. But we could see from last week that he has the talent to sling the ball and do what he has to do to get a win. So I don't think he's as bad as, not as bad as you're saying. But, yeah, he still sucks as of right now. But I think that, he's young. He's a rookie. It'll be fine. And he's coming into a situation where, Denver's not exactly great to begin with. So,
yeah.
Next question, it's right up Mark's alley, talking about groin. Is the Ravens D worth holding?
We're throwing this one to Mark first, right?
Yeah. Should I drop them?
He's got a phone a friend. He's got Jerry Jones on the other line.
Or should I drop them for the Bears?
Well, you're not dropping them for the Bears because the Rams are beating the Bears this week. So,
okay.
An unbiased.
No, that's fine.
Unbiased opinion.
It doesn't make you wrong.
Let's go with George next.
I'm in a league where both of these teams. I have the Ravens. The Bears are on the waiver wire. It's Sunday. The Bears are still on the waiver wire, so I'm going to stick with the Ravens.
All right, Justin.
All right, I'm about to give you an answer that you're not going to want to hear, Bobby. But it's because I'm feeling the same pain. And no, I don't even want to hear that. I'm feeling the same pain as you in my main home league. I'm 3-0. I'm doing really well, but I drafted the Ravens defense kind of high with high expectations. But they're down like around the 20th best, 21st, 22nd best defense. So they're in that lower third in the league, but they've gone up against Kansas City and Dallas. So two really good offenses. They're going up against Buffalo this week, and maybe even Cincinnati next week might be hurtful to them. But they are going to have a stretch coming up after that where they do have some weaker offenses that they're going to be going up against. You kind of have to hold them. And I know you don't want to have two defenses. Personally, I was able to go out and pick up Buffalo's defense early on because somebody had dropped them way too soon, and now they're the third best defense in that league. And I'm even holding them this week, and I went and picked up a third defense. And we do have a deeper home league, so it's easier for me to do that. But I'm definitely holding on to the Ravens and just eating the bad game this week before I drop them for any other team. But if you've got the extra roster spot to hold a second defense, absolutely go get the Bears because they will play better this week against the banged up Rams than the Ravens will this week against Buffalo.
All right. David.
I stream defenses, so as far as I'm concerned, there's no D worth holding.
Rich?
Yeah, I can't believe we're talking about defenses.
Yeah, guys, I'm telling you, I won draft night out last year because I took the Cowboys defense so early. Like I win leagues because I draft defenses early. If you get one of those top 2-3 defenses and you don't have to worry about streaming every week, it really is a huge advantage.
I always put it this. Let me put it this way. I get what Justin's saying. Okay, if you get that one-off defense and stuff like that, but you're not winning games because your defense. You're winning games because of the other players that are on your team and everything. You just want to find a consistent average because you ain't going to find a consistent average with the defense and stuff like that unless you have a top 2 defense or anything like that. So if I'm drafting a defense, I'm sticking with that defense till their bye week, and hoping my team, the rest of my team covers their deficiency.
All right. So where did we land on this now? I think
David pointed out no D worth holding, and Justin's holding 2 Ds at a time.
Actually, he's holding 3.
I've got 3 Ds this week.
Oh man.
Oh, okay. So my son's watching. So, question.
Well, we're talking about defenses, so it's okay.
Yeah. There's recently been some drama about the NFL bias towards the Chiefs, the example being the Chiefs PI, yet there was no flag in sight. Any thoughts on that?
I got this one.
Go ahead, Dave.
Listen, the Chiefs are the Super Bowl champs. There is more focus on the Super Bowl champs than any other team. This happens all the time in all the games. Just on Thursday, there was a face mask on the Giants. They weren't even the ones who did the face mask. Dallas did it, and yet nobody complained. It just went on, and they just went. The game went on. There's drama with the refs in every game. They're just more focused on the Chiefs because they're the champs. That's all there is.
And it ends up being the focus on teams that win a lot, right? Like,
Yep.
You saw the same thing with the Patriots when they were a dynasty, that everybody said they got all the calls and nobody made any calls on Brady. Like, it's a thing that happens when fans of other teams get frustrated that their team keeps getting beat by a good team. So, is there something to it? Sure. Like, you see when teams get reputations, and this is a basketball reference, but when the Pistons were really good at defense, they got away with hard fouls because they were really good at defense. That happens in football too. Teams get reputations for certain things, both good and bad. Some teams get reputations for holding. They get called for more holds because of it. So it happens, but it happens to pretty much every team. So look, I'm a Bucks fan. I'm used to not getting any calls going my way, just the way it is. So
the only thing I'll say to your point, yes, there's missed calls every game, whole game, that never get mentioned. The reason though this is getting mentioned is because it's back-to-back weeks, the end of the game, a call one way or the other that could have determined the outcome of the game, and it happened to be the opposite way for the Chiefs each time. So that's why it's getting scrutinized. But yeah, I don't think the Chiefs are magically getting calls to win the game. Like, it's not scripted, but there is a reason it's getting looked at closer than everything else.
Well, look, we're all human. Humans have bias. And, if you expect one team, as a ref, if you expect one team to be better than the other, when that team actually goes out and does something good, then it's obviously not due to a penalty. And, and they're not supposed to be biased, but we're human. Everybody does, right? So that's why the Rams never get called, because they're terrible. Just saying.
Yeah. Terrible enough to beat the Niners. Hey.
That's 2 out of 3 teams so far this year.
I know.
So
hey,
just
we didn't lose
for a little
the Broncos yet, though.
Just for a little bit more context on the penalties for Eli's question. So far in the year, the Kansas City Chiefs have been flagged 16 times, which is exactly the middle of the pack. They're the number 16th overall penalized team in the NFL. If you were looking at teams that were penalized the absolute least that the NFL would be trying to help win, the Las Vegas Raiders have only been penalized 11 times for 84 yards on the season, and I'm pretty sure that the refs are not trying to help them win.
I think that's just pity.
It could be pity, or it could be intimidation by Raider fans and Raider Nation. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe the refs want to leave with their life intact, but
all right, you wanted to reel me into this one. I get it.
Listen, it's not my fault. You guys are the most disciplined team in the NFL. Okay, that's not my fault.
Look, this is the only time I'm going to say there is NFL racism towards the Raiders because we always get called for flags, no matter how good we are or how bad we are.
You've been
We're always getting picked on.
you've been called for 11 flags for 84 yards on the season. The next closest is the New England Patriots. They've been flagged 13 times for 152 yards.
So it is a pity thing.
I mean, it absolutely could be a pity. Nobody has less flags and less penalty yards than the Las Vegas Raiders. I can even tell you what the penalties were if you cared.
No, we don't. No.
Okay.
No. All right. Well, we get the important thing here. Dina says, "Good morning. Hope everybody has a goof fantasy week." So I do hope you have a goof fantasy week as
I'm
well.
having lots of goofy fantasy weeks.
I think that's been a normal thing. Jimmy F says, "Love is supposed to play this week. I have Justin Fields, thinking about playing him this week, even if Love plays. Thoughts? Anybody playing Fields over Love?
Nope.
I would.
David?
I think, I mean, he has a much easier matchup. He's been in the end zone just about every week, whether it's with his feet or or through the air. Love's coming back for the first time. I think the Packers win that game. I think it's a good game. That defense scares me a whole lot more than the Colts scared me.
Okay, so we had one saying Fields.
No, I think I'm going to go Fields also, and this could be that bias against my own team. But that Colts defense it's rough, man. Just like we said earlier, Caleb Williams looked like a pretty solid NFL quarterback in the passing game until he made his huge rookie mistakes. But I'm not so sure. Like Fields isn't really making those big mistakes like he did when he was with Chicago. So I think I'm going to go Fields too, and I think it might be close, but yeah, I'm going to make it 2.
All right, so 3 for Love and then 2 for Fields. This one I'll leave George and Mark to argue about. Pick up Jalen Warren, drop Chris Brown or Chase Brown.
We're not going to argue because we're both going to agree. Keep Chase Brown.
Oh, we found that level for you, huh, George?
Dude, Jalen Warren's not even playing this week. Why would you pick him up?
Yeah. He's also done worse on the season than Chase Brown, and Chase Brown was getting more play, in week 3. So they're starting to realize, his value over Moss. He had several, I think 3 or 4 over 10-yard rushes in that game. So he's more electric than Moss. You could say what you want. Moss was a product of the system last year. He ran behind a good offensive line. Now he's in Cincinnati, which hasn't had a good offensive line since at least Joe Burrow's been there. And Zach Moss has been less efficient. So is Chase Brown, but he's more electric.
Justin, you had your finger up?
I can agree that Chase Brown is far more electric than Moss. Totally agree with that. But I also have to say that Moss is a better overall running back. He can run. He can pass block better. He's more efficient with the run because Chase Brown has those plays where he gets stuffed in the backfield and Moss always moves forward. He's always gaining yards. So overall, he's the one that they trust the most. So if they need that electric play or if they need the big play and even in the passing downs, Moss is still a relevant running back there because he can pass block better. So you want to keep him back there. They just can't trust Brown on a play-to-play basis. The reason he's so electric and the reason he can be efficient is because they don't use him a whole lot. Think Tony Pollard with Dallas. As soon as they started using him more, he became less efficient. He's that type of player. So this is how they have to use him to be able to keep him efficient when they do need to pull him off the bench. So I just think there's going to be a lot of games where he has those 2, 3, 4 fantasy points. And but for this week, obviously you have to keep him because just like George said, Warren's not playing. But I don't know. I would probably still keep Brown because I think as far as handcuffs goes, if the starter gets hurt in one of those situations, I would probably rather have Brown.
All right. Well, we've got the next. So we were talking Chase Brown over Warren, which we all agreed. Bobby Ham says, is likely worth the stash anymore. Anyone stashing likely?
Nope.
Depends on your league, how
Yeah,
deep your
depends on your
bench
league.
is. I mean, tight ends have been so brutal. If you have a spot for them, Baltimore stopped using the tight end completely. So I'm not saying start likely, but if you have a bench spot for them, maybe stash them and see what they start doing because they're going to have to throw the ball a little more.
I
So
spent
tell you
$85 on Likely after week 1, so he better either pay me back or I got to stash him and wait for it to pay off.
Or you could have listened to me and who told you not to do that. And I told everybody sell Likely after week 1. That's the best game he's going to have this season. And it was 100% scheme based upon what the Kansas City defense did to Mark Andrews.
You know I hate fab leagues. I'm so bad with money. I see that fab buck sitting there and I'm like, I got to spend it on something. Week 1, boom, I'm done.
Then you got Cheap and Frank. All you had to do
What
is
do you
throw
mean?
your money. Take Dalton out there.
Yeah, I tried. Well,
You
I
got
mean,
enough
sort
money.
of. No,
You got
hey,
enough
listen though. I ended up getting Bo Nix for about $600 cheaper than what I put in for Dalton. So I'm okay with that.
Hey, George,
I
how
have
do
a
you feel
starter
about
to get
Bo
me by.
Nix?
Bo Nix sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
And then I'm not even starting Bo Nix. I'm so desperate at quarterback, and I'm still not starting.
All right. Steve, Nick Chubb is practicing, going to begin practicing again this week. He's got a 21-day window to be added to the 53-man roster. If I had to guess, it's going to be towards the end of that window, not towards the beginning. But really, that's just a guess without seeing him practice. So it's not like he's started practicing yet, but he will be practicing after this week's slate of games. So thank you, George.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the banner.
I think we'll see him week 6 against Philadelphia. That's my estimate.
All right. Bobby Ham says, do I have to start Garrett Wilson since my only other option is Xavier Worthy? Yes, you have to start. Yes, you have to start Garrett Wilson. David shaking his head no.
I disagree. Garrett Wilson hasn't been near as efficient as expected or near as explosive as effective, I guess you could say. And again, he's going to be blanketed by PS2 this week. I'm not playing him unless I absolutely have to.
So you have Worthy over him this week? Because I wouldn't. All right. Mark has been the Xavier Worthy guy, so I'm going to kick it over to Mark to see what he thinks here.
I'm still starting Garrett Wilson though. Yeah.
Look at the next comment. If you're looking for the ceiling for the explosive guy, it's not Garrett Wilson against PS2 after what we've seen from him so far this season. It is 1,000% Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking,
board bet, and I'll take the Wilson side.
Yeah, there's no way I'm taking Worthy over Garrett. You said high upside. Garrett Wilson has a high upside just on one single play too. Worthy has a higher advantage, but look, as soon as you start thinking this is when it all turns around, and now you question yourself and everything. It's Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I think just on opportunity alone, I would jump in on Wilson because, I think he's playing against a better defense, but Worthy 2-3 opportunities a game at most.
I don't know about a better defense, just a better probably the best cover corner in the league. And he's not one of the ones that they stick on one side of the field. He's one of the ones that they assign the number one guy for the other team. And he blankets them all. He doesn't let people do anything.
Yeah. Like I said,
might be like David from the standpoint if you need a huge game, and I mean, I'm not talking like a 15, 18 point game, but if you need like 25 to 30 points, I might go Worthy just because.
Well, you know what they say: if you're in a hole, keep digging.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the guy that gets me 0 instead of the guy that might get me 10 and help me get out of the hole. George, go ahead.
So Xavier Worthy, outside the week 1 with Baltimore, where he had 2 receptions and a touchdown and 1 rush attempt and a touchdown, back-to-back weeks, Cincinnati and Atlanta, 2 for 17. He did have 4 rushing attempts during that time, where he totaled a whopping 18 yards. So let's combine those 2 games: 4 receptions, 34 yards, 4 rushes, 18 yards across 2 games. I'm still taking Garrett Wilson because in one game he's going to produce more than that.
Throw it up
All
on
right,
the board.
we got one board bet going. Nate says, and good morning, Nate. D. Smith is out. Worthy, Jennings, Trey Tucker, or Dotson?
Who are the Eagles starting at wide receiver this week?
Dotson.
I mean, it's going to be Dotson.
I think AJ Brown is he playing?
AJ Brown is not playing
Okay.
until week 6.
It's Goddard is going to be the
it's going to be Goddard again.
I just want on the last note, I just want to say PS2 covered Pickens against the Steelers. He did nothing. He covered Evans against the Bucks. He did nothing. Of course, they had what's his name for the Bucks do everything, but Evans did absolutely nothing. And even the great DK Metcalf in week 1 had 3 catches for 29 yards against PS3.
That should do
Which
it.
That's
5.9. That should do it.
Which is more than what Xavier Worthy had the last 2 weeks combined.
The problem is, David. The problem with your statement, if you go back and look at any of the all 22 on the Bucks games last week, Evans was open. Baker Mayfield just didn't get him the ball. He held it too long. But last week,
and he's in love with Godwin over. Now that he's back in the slot. So
yeah. So I wouldn't say last week was on Surtain's great coverage more than it was on Baker not releasing the ball when Evans was open. But we have moved on to the next question. So let's give these guys an answer on Worthy, Jennings, Trey Tucker, or Dotson. And you know what? Since David, you spoke first, I'm going to let you go first. But let's stay on this topic, please.
It's Jennings for me.
All right, Jennings. Mark.
I'm interested to see what Rich has to say about Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
He looked really good last week. And with Devontae Adams out this week.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the same thing.
All right. I will forego the fact that George was nodding his head, so that would be 2 Jennings. We're gonna go with we'll go with Rich next. I'll let Rich drive the show.
Man, the one that's going to benefit, I get what you guys are saying. Trey Tucker is going to still be the Trey Tucker that he is in this offense. This offense is going to be funneled through Bowers and Jacoby Myers today and stuff like that. They're going to have the more potential and stuff like that. Now, just like with anything, if you want high upside, look, Trey Tucker is Xavier Worthy and stuff like that. If you want, kind of like what George, if you want, or Jason, if you want 10 points to dig out of a hole, or 0 and stuff like that with the upside of getting 20, hey, go with one of those 2. If I'm actually picking here and stuff like that, look, one thing I want to look at is people that are going to get targets. Dotson's going to get targets. I don't know what he's going to do with those targets, but I want the potential of targets and everything. And I think Dotson has more potential of more targets than anybody on this lineup right here to produce more. So I'm actually going Dotson.
The 9 targets last week, do you think it was just a game script thing? He's not going to continue getting those targets for Trey Tucker. He went 7 for 9.
Yeah, he had a good game last week. Don't get me wrong.
At what point did Adams get hurt?
At the end of the very game.
I was wondering if it was part of that business decision comment that Coach made after the game. If he was one of them.
Hey. Let me put it this way. There's sometimes I question business decisions on our team with told us a title. There's times I question business decisions at my work. There's times I question business decisions. It's just a saying and I'm saying and stuff like that. I don't question anybody and stuff like that. It is what it is. Coach got put on the hot seat. So what are you gonna say? I'm freaking Compton's most wanted. Business decisions were not made.
All right, so I think we got 2 for Jennings and 1 for Dotson. So I gotta go to Mark next.
I think I'm gonna go Trey Tucker. I think Jennings' work is gonna be significantly decreased this week with Debo and Kittle back. Worthy we talked about. He's a shot in the pan. He's either gonna get you 20 or nothing. And Dotson, I mean, I haven't seen anything out of him really to trust him, so I'm going to go Trey Tucker.
All right. So 2, 1, and 1, and then Justin.
Yeah, I think Dotson might get traded again after this week. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Trey Tucker as well. I think just like Rich said, I want a guy that's going to get targets, and I think in this game he does get the targets. I do agree with the comparison to Worthy. He's like the Worthy of that team, but in my mind, picture Worthy if Rice is out, then I feel like Worthy becomes a more of a targeted guy. So. So I think I'm going to go with Tucker just for this week. I don't think that Dotson, with all of the targets in the world, is really going to be much more than a Dotson. So yeah, I'm going to go with Trey Tucker.
Oh,
tie it up.
So I think that ties it up. That leaves it up to me. And I think I'm going to go with Jennings again. I think Jennings had some okay games when all of those targets were there in San Francisco before guys got hurt. So I know Debo's playing. I know Kittle's playing. Are they 100%? Not sure. Jennings a reliable target there. So I'm going to go with Jennings between him and Trey Tucker. Lori says, hi, guys. Absolutely. Good morning, Lori. How are you? D. Smith is out. In another league, Waddle, Thomas Jr., or Trey Tucker? George, you do have a Pro Bowl starter for you.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to go back to that well. As much as I hate having to sit Waddle, it is Tyler Huntley's only been on the team for less than 2 weeks. I just don't know what the usage will be. I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr.
Look, I know it's only been 3 weeks, but Thomas Jr. did have the most targets of his career last week, more than week 1 and 2. So, not like there's a large sample size, but trending up. Rich.
Man, I know everybody wants me to say Trey Tucker.
I mean, you didn't say it in the last question. I would doubt you'd say it in this one.
No, I'm not going to and stuff like that. Look, I'm going to go back to it again. I know Tucker had a good game last week. He's had 14 targets and only have 11 receptions. So all that came last week. I'm actually going to join the bandwagon for this week, 1 week only. Brian Thomas Jr.
All right, Thomas Jr. Justin.
Yeah, I'm going with Brian Thomas Jr. as well. The two road teams in this matchup last year were the winners. So I'm not saying that Jacksonville's going to go in there and win this game, but these two teams always battle it out pretty closely and down to the wire. So I think it's going to be an even game script for the Jaguars throughout the whole game. So they're going to need to utilize that passing game. So I'm going Thomas Jr.
All right, that's 3 for Thomas Jr., so that's enough. But David, you agree?
I do.
And Mark, you agree?
Yeah, it's close for me, but I'm going Thomas Jr. It's crazy that I'm debating whether to trust Snoop Huntley over Trevor Lawrence, but that's how bad it's been. But still going to lean Thomas Jr.
I will say that I lost a matchup last week on that interception that Lawrence threw, because if he had connected with Thomas Jr. on that pass instead of throwing it 10 yards over his head and into the defense, I don't want to match up. So I'm a little bit frustrated with that with that quarterback situation, but not as much as Jaguar fans. Jimmy F says, man. I'm hurting at running back. McCaffrey, Pacheco, Chubb. I have Stevenson, Javonte, and Akers. Need 2 of them. Who do I go with? Can I just say we probably I don't usually jump in, but I would almost say Stevenson and Akers are the lock here. Does anybody disagree with that? Anybody at all?
I don't know. Akers getting the full run in Houston is definitely tempting there. Stevenson has a bit of a fumbling problem. He's fumbled. I think he's averaging a fumble lost every week right now. You need 2 of them. I just don't like Javonte. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw out a guy right now that I went out and picked up in as many leagues as I could possibly fit him on my bench. I even made a trade early this morning so that I could free up a roster spot so I could go out and get Tyler Bidet. And yes, that's right. I said it correctly. We've always called him Tyler Beatty on the show. Even his own broadcasters in college called him Tyler Beatty, but now that he's in the pros, he's made it known. His last name is pronounced Bidet, which fits perfectly with our theme at Toilets and Titles. So I'm going to go that I'm going to throw out there that Tyler Bidet, who had a bigger uptick in rushing this past week, he had 9 carries for 70 yards. I know it's against Tampa Bay, but Sean Payton wants his guy. Sean Payton doesn't like Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams is not playing very well. So if I have to pick two, Javonte Williams is the guy that's sitting out for me this week. And go out and pick up a day anywhere where you can fit him, guys, because he's going to eventually be the guy for that team. And I'm not saying he's going to be good, but it's going to be a 3-man roster. We're probably not going to want to start any of them, but there is that opportunity for injury or whatever. But Tyler Bidet could be a sneaky pick, kind of like what I was saying with Carson Steele at the beginning of the season this year.
All right, but I think everybody had those too, yeah?
Yeah.
Like Justin mentioned earlier with somebody else, going against Javonte Williams is something that has never bitten me in the ass. I will never ever own or start Javonte Williams.
It's funny because I found out recently that George is all about that bidet life, but we weren't talking the player.
It's a great life.
I'm not lying. All right, Dustin says, for a fun league affecting my Yahoo profile, start Jaden, Darnold, or Kyler. I can also pick up Rodgers or Baker. George.
So this comes down to Kyler or Jaden for me. Let me see where I have them ranked. I think I've got Kyler. Yeah, I've got Kyler as the number 1 quarterback this week going against Washington. I've got Jaden Daniels at number 4 going against Arizona. You're splitting hairs between 2 top 4 quarterbacks. I'm going to go Kyler, but listen, if you start Jaden, I'm not mad at it. I like them both.
All right, Justin.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kyler as well. I think he has 5 carries every single week, and I think this week going against Washington, they're so bad against wide receivers that he's going to get a lot in the passing game. But that is also going to open up the freedom for him to actually be able to run in the open field as well. We might actually get to see a big rushing game from him on a couple of big pop-off runs to go along with his big passing game. So I'm going to go with Kyler Murray this week as well.
And Mark.
Kyler for me. Yeah, between Kyler and Jaden, it's Kyler for me. Just saw breaking news. Keenan Allen is active this week.
Yep. Rich, Kyler, Daniels?
I'm going Kyler. It's an easy one for me. I like both of them, but Murray's over him.
And Dave, agree with the group?
Yeah, I'll be contrary to the group. I'm going to go Jaden Daniels. Only because Kyler's missing one of his top weapons and Jaden isn't.
Well, but Washington just doesn't have top weapons.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Oh, so he's used to it. I get what you're saying. I like it. All right. Piggyback from last week, Fields or Herbert again? Justin, before you stretch your back.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Fields on this one, and it's really not that close for me.
Dave?
It's a little bit closer for me just because of the history of Herbert specifically versus the Chiefs. But coming in injured and with a different game plan than what they usually have in the years past where they were pass heavy, I'm going to go with Fields.
All right. Rich?
Fields.
All right. And then Mark?
I'm going to go Herbert, but I know if he doesn't make it through the game, obviously Fields is going to be the better choice. But, I mean, I got to believe that they did it last week, though. I was going to say, after last week, if they're going to play him, I would think that they know he's fine to get through the game, but who knows? I'm still going to go Herbert.
George?
Justin Fields. This one is pretty easy for me.
All right. And then so that was Fields for the most part. Chris says, Chris saying Mark is fire again. That's how he cooks them tendies. Bobby Ham says stash Pirine or Emmanuel Wilson. I'm gonna say Emmanuel Wilson.
Yeah, at this point, P-Line's not really a stash.
Well,
if you want a good stash, I'll give you one. Guy coming off of PUP in a couple of weeks, Keaton Mitchell. Shout out to a friend of ours, Jason Armand. He's been texting me during the show, and he said if you want somebody to stash, Keaton Mitchell is a good player. Averaged 8.4 yards per carry last week, and he'll be playing in 2 weeks.
All right. So Mitchell is a stash, but of these two, obviously, it's Wilson. Is it Wilson for everybody here of these two? The trouble with Pirine is it's a three running back committee now, and it's about to be a 4 running back committee in a week or two. So
yeah, he doesn't have a path. One injury, and Emmanuel Wilson's the guy.
Yep.
All right. Is the public on the Colts or the Steelers? Feel like the Steelers are due for a stinker.
I feel like the Steelers are due for a stinker as well, but I don't think it'll be against the Colts.
All right.
I think you should all watch your tongue and stop wishing stinkers on my Steelers.
I'm not. I think they're due for having a bad game at some point this year, but I don't think it's going to be against Justin's Colts.
See, I think it's the opposite. I think the defense, unless the defense takes a turn, I think the offense is just going to get better and better the more that they, start to know that they could trust their defense and kind of experiment, etc.
David's got an undefeated season for the Steelers this year.
He does.
Let's go.
All right, Justin.
Colts suck.
Hey, they're not Bo Nix.
All right, so we all think the public is on the Steelers. All right. Bobby Ham says pick 3. Garrett Wilson, Ayuk, Jamison Williams, London, Ford, Montgomery, Dobbins, with 1 wide receiver required. George, you like these large ones. Let's go with you first.
I don't like the large ones.
You love these big questions. How about that? Can I say that?
I only like questions involving the D. It's going to be very difficult for me to sit J-Mo. It's going to be very difficult for me to sit Dobbins. So that leaves Garrett Wilson or Ayuk. And I think I'm leaning Ayuk over Garrett Wilson.
All right, so you've got Ayuk, J-Mo, and who was your third? I'm sorry?
Dobbins.
Okay. Mark.
So 1 wide receiver required. I'm definitely going Montgomery as 1. I'm not jumping off the J-Mo train after 1 bad week, so I'll throw him in there. And then I like what London's been doing, but New Orleans defense is pretty tough. I think I'm going to go London. I'll stick with London. So I'll go Montgomery, J-Mo, and London.
Okay, Montgomery, J-Mo, and London. Rich.
I am going Montgomery. Ford's playing against the Raiders. Their defense sucks against a run right now, so I am going Ford and Montgomery. If I had to pick a receiver, man, I'm going Garrett Wilson.
All right.
For the bottom question down there, Joshua, he says, I'm not hip. Who the heck is J-Mo? That's Jamison Williams for Detroit.
All right, so you guys are going to have to help me keep track since we're picking so many different people here. And now David moved around. David, I'm gonna let you go next, and then we're gonna figure out who I'll pick too, because I need to get a piece of paper for these larger questions.
I haven't gone yet either.
I remember you haven't gone.
Okay.
I was picking you last on purpose.
Gotcha.
David, go ahead.
Hopefully, I'm not cutting in and out because all of you guys are for me, so I assume that's my internet. I did answer in the private chat in case it doesn't come through, but it's JMO, Ayuk, and Dobbins for me.
Okay, JMO, Ayuk, and Dobbins. So I think everybody's been on JMO. I've got 2 Ayuks. How many Ayuks do I have? Raise your hand. Okay, so that's David and George. We had 1 London, and I'm pretty sure we had 1 Ford.
We had 2 Montgomerys, I think, me and Rich.
And we had 2 Montgomerys. You guys suck. All right, Justin, go ahead.
I'm going with JMO as well as my wide receiver here, and I know that Seattle is tough against wide receivers, but they do tend to let up a little bit more from the slot and the wide receiver too. And JMO's just too explosive. And I mean, even with that matchup, I still wanted to go with Garrett Wilson there, but I just think that JMO has the better opportunity to break out a big play. So then I'm going to go with Ford and Montgomery. As much as I love Dobbins, as much as I've been on Dobbins, but against Kansas City, they do have a tough front 7. So give me Ford, Montgomery, and JMO, and I'll be okay if I'm wrong on the JMO one. And,
okay, so everybody's got JMO, so that's 1. We've got 3 Montgomerys, so that's 2.
Did Rich have JMO?
Well, so everybody, but even if it wasn't Rich, it's the
That's
majority. We had 3 Montgomerys, so that's 2, and then we've got Ayuk with 2, Ford with 2. Anybody else have 2 in here? Let's see. Did we have 2 Dobbins or just 1?
I think I was the only one who went with Dobbins.
Okay, we had 1 Garrett Wilson. I don't think we had 2. We had 1 London. So it's between Ayuk and Ford. There hadn't been any issues with Foreman, right? Like he's Devonta Foreman. Besides, he's Devonta Foreman.
Besides, he's been eating into the workload now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take Ayuk as my 3, and it'll end up being JMO, Montgomery.
I mean, Foreman had 2 touches last week against the Giants. 2 carries for 5 yards.
The week before, he ate significantly into the carries, and then last week only got 2 touches, like Justin said.
Okay,
it just makes me feel like maybe there was something going on with Ford in that second week
before.
And they just
didn't dispose
it or something.
Then I'm back on Ford. We'll go. Ford is our 3rd. We've got Montgomery and we've got JMO. Those are the 3.
Hey, real quick, I want to answer this guy on our Twitter. What did we decide with JSN, Olave, and Flowers to start 2?
That was the first question. We took care of it.
Yeah, I know, but I was going to answer on the Twitter thread.
Oh, gotcha.
I think we went Olave and
JSN. We went Olave and JSN, didn't we?
I don't know.
I had 3 at Flowers.
It was 3 with Flowers, 2 with
Gotcha.
JSN.
But they should have said JSN.
All right. And now I have pen and paper for the next long question. Dustin says, glad everybody's safe and not hurt after the horrible hail debacle. Cars can always be replaced. That was a scary scene. And also, if any of you guys were in the path of the hurricane, I hope that you guys made it through safe and sound.
And all these crazy floods going through Tennessee and Carolina with the dams breaking. Insane.
Yeah. Bobby Ham says, we need the baby to answer the questions.
Yep, well, confirmed.
That she was trying. She was down there trying for sure. She just couldn't get out. She just couldn't get it out fast enough, so we had to skip her. Chad said, Justin Fields, Jared Goff. Justin.
Oh man, it should be Goff, right? But Goff should be playing better than he has been for all of these first few games. Man, this Colts defense is just too bad for me. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Fields.
All right, Fields. David. Mark.
I'm gonna go Goff. I mean, it's hard for me to say we're gonna start Jameson Williams and then take Fields over Goff, so I'm going Goff.
George.
I'm gonna go. Give me Jared Goff on Monday night.
You said Jared Goff, so that's 2. We've got David in the private chat because his internet's not working, saying Fields, and then Rich to break the tie 2-2.
Golf.
All right, that is Goff over Fields, and then in a flex, Dave's got JSN, but we've got JSN, Dobbins, Coleman, or Calvin Ridley. George, you're first.
Let's go. I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins.
All right, 1 for JSN, 1 for J.K. Dobbins. Rich, you're next.
Man, JSN and J.K. Dobbins is going to be close to me, and I'm gonna lean J.K. Dobbins in this situation, but I do like JSN too. But Dobbins.
All right, 2 for Dobbins, 1 for JSN. Mark, you're next.
I'm going to go Dobbins. I know Kansas City has a good front. They shut Bijan down pretty easily, but I feel like Harbaugh always finds a way to make the run work, so I'm going to go Dobbins. And this is a typical Chiefs game where they tend to keep close when it shouldn't be.
All right, so we've got 3-1. Justin, for fun's sake.
I'm going to go JSN.
All right, so that's 3 for Dobbins, 1 for JSN, or 2 for JSN. All right, Dustin says, oh yeah, we talked about this already. Crana, Cook or Mason are my running backs. That's why I asked if he should flex Kamara or B-Rob. So yeah, I get it now from earlier. Full PPR. I mean, look, if you picked up Mason ahead of the Christian McCaffrey owner, or even if you are the Christian McCaffrey owner, you basically won the lottery for the next month.
Yep.
Full PPR, choose one. Jacoby Myers, McLaren, or Shaheed. George, I'm going to start with you because I know who you're going with.
It's Jacoby Myers. I mean, no Devontae Adams. He's going to get peppered with. I'm being serious. He's going to get peppered with targets. He's going to be their wide receiver 1. I do like McLaren, but I just think Myers is going to get just a boatload of targets today.
Rich, I saw you doing the champion thing. You agree? All right. We won't even ask Rich because he's finger gunning you. Justin.
He's what?
Am I going to get a fine for that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm going with Myers as well.
Mark.
Clean sweep.
And then David, you agree? Hold on, I'll check the private chat. Yeah, David said Myers as well. All right. His internet being out is so much fun. Lori says, y'all know that when you trigger Justin, it's me who has to deal with it when the show is over. Yep. Why do you think we do it, Lori?
I complain about every one of you guys when we get off here every time.
That's fine.
You guys are the reason I drink.
That's not true.
On, now you drank long before
you live in Indiana. That's the reason you drink.
Oh, by the way, guys, let's not let this recent Twitter trend guy for the Indianapolis Colts singing these damn songs every week let you feel like he's holding up the stereotypes of those of us that live in Indiana, because we're not all like that guy, contrary to popular belief, all right?
That is Justin on TikTok, by the way.
I want some kind of board bet where if you lose, you have to create one of those videos.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope, not happening.
Absolutely.
Nope.
Absolutely.
I will fold toilets to titles before that happens.
Jimmy F says trap game of the week: Jets versus Broncos or Bengals versus Panthers. Last week, top 4 teams to win. Last week, all lost. That has to be another surprising week. Yeah. Listen, I personally blame David for the Buccaneers' loss. So, he can't. He's frozen, so he can't respond to it. But I personally blame him. The moment he picked the Buccaneers as his team, I knew they were going to lose, and from the get-go they lost. So it's all David's fault.
I know Jimmy's asking this question from a survivor standpoint, and I am not trusting the Bengals with a survivor pick the rest of the season.
So you're officially Jets then on this question. Anybody not the Jets on this question?
I think I'd probably go Panthers. I think the Panthers pull it off. What?
That's probably not where he was going.
What do you mean?
Jason, yes. Thank you, sir. Hold on.
Oh, yes. Yes.
This is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue. This is our Colts. Whether win or lose, we love
Embarrassing.
for the shoe. Colts Forge. Let the world hear us now. This is our team. Go Colts.
And then
Okay, there's only so much of that.
oh, shut up. That was like his original one. This dude's been doing it for years. He only just now became like famous for it, but that was like the first one for this season, and he didn't have his horse's neigh in there that he does at the end, which makes it 1,000 times worse.
I thought now he throws the team you're playing in the song as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, he's always done that too. That was the first one for this year where it was just like, hey, I'm gonna somehow become Twitter famous all of a sudden. But in our private chat, we did have. I know David is back now, but in case you missed it, he went with Myers on that last question as I tried to change the subject.
You should never have brought that guy up, Justin. I didn't. I wouldn't have done that if you didn't bring it up.
It's just so embarrassing. And then people want to talk about Indiana being that way, and it's so hard to argue now. Like, I guess we are.
Justin, for the shoe.
This just in, but Russell Wilson is inactive yet again. Just throwing that out there.
This is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue.
I think we found who it really is. That was pretty dead on.
Can we put the last comment up there real quick? Or second to last now? Can we throw the second to last comment up there real quick?
I mean, Lori, he's going to do it if you tell him to do it. We all know
wife, happy life.
Happy wife, happy life.
You know what's funny about this is
I'd be happy because I would have to fold T to T and I would have more time.
I can see Justin making one of those videos, but it's going to be more like F this team, F this life. Anthony Richardson,
I hate you.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson sucks. I want Will Levis. He sucks too.
You know, the only worst song, and I don't know if anybody even remembers this. I know George will, but he took his headphones off. The only worst song I've heard for that than for any other team was the Blaine Gabbert song. And if you haven't heard Blaine Gabbert, Real American,
I got you, Jason.
Do yourself a favor.
I just want to apologize to all the viewers out there that are not getting their start-sit questions answered right now.
Okay, we're gonna move on to that. And
I think they're fine with it.
Let's see. Flex Sanders, Bateman, or Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is active, as we mentioned a few minutes ago. I'll go Justin since we just tortured him.
I mean, I guess it has to be Allen. But I don't really like any of these options, to be honest with you. But Allen has the higher touchdown upside this week.
Mark?
Definitely Keenan Allen.
David?
Keenan Allen.
Rich?
Allen.
And George?
Allen.
I wonder how many copyright infringements we're breaking right now, George.
Not enough.
I want to know why we should draft you. Because if you don't draft me, I'm going to have to beat you for the next 15 years.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
You can just
Trevor Lawrence.
Song, it might as well have been.
The hair's not long enough.
Time!
This is so much better than the Colts guy already.
When it's the fourth quarter and the game's on the line, Just be glad that Blaine's on your side. If you
How long
put
is
some
this?
other down, you'll pay the price. You'll hit his receiver right in stride. Blaine is a real American. Damn straight the Jaguars are going to win. Blaine is a real American.
All right. Enough of-
I would
All right,
like to
I'm
thank
cutting it-
everybody for tuning into the last episode of Title Time.
I will say that I wanted to get to the part where he just goes Blaine, 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 Blaine. I love that song. It's my favorite. That's my favorite song of all time. All right, guys. Sorry about that. We did have Keenan. Brandon, good morning, guys. PPR Gentlemen's League. Would you change anything? CD played. I would not change that CD played. Wide receiver 2, I'm on. Tight end Goddard, flex A chain, bench, Diggs, Kittle, J.K. Dobbins. Anybody putting either J.K. or Diggs in ahead of A chain?
Yes,
What are you doing?
I'm putting in Diggs.
Diggs over A chain. Anybody else agree?
Nope.
I think I'm going to leave it.
It's kind of crazy.
All right. And then how about the only other thing that jumps out at me here is Kittle and Goddard. Anybody? I mean, Goddard's the only target there, but I mean that just means he's going to get some of the coverage too, right? So, anybody trying Kittle in this week versus Goddard?
If it wasn't for Goddard getting 147 targets in week 4 this week, I might consider it. But with all the receivers being out, you got to think that Goddard's going to do something.
By the way, with last week, Dallas Goddard is tight end 1 on the year.
Yeah, it's a bad season.
He
for
did
tight
nothing
ends
week
too,
1 or week 2, but he's still tight end number 1.
Right.
All right, so the majority is keeping A-Chain, and then we are keeping Goddard. All right. Brandon also asks, Fields or risk Love wide receiver 1? I think we have for sure answered that before. And I think we all went with Love, or the majority went with Love.
Fields.
Yeah, 1. Yep. And then flex 2, DJ Moore, Reed, Deontay, D-Hop, Kirk, Waddle. Have Moore, Reed, and Deontay. Okay, so flex 2 of Moore, Reed, Deontay, D-Hop, Kirk, and Waddle. I'll start with you, Justin.
I think he needs 3 wide receiver 1 and 2 and a flex.
And a flex. Okay, wide receiver 1 and 2 and a flex. Yep, sorry. Okay, so
cool. That makes it a little easier. My wide receiver 1 and 2 are just how you have them: DJ Moore and Jaden Reed, with Love being in there. Reed has to start, and then my flex option is going to be Deontay. I think it's pretty easy, actually.
Yeah, I have it just like you have it.
Okay, and that's the way he has it. Everybody's nodding. So that's what we're going to go with.
And if George left to go find another damn song, we are not letting him back in. He's officially off the show.
George went camera dark. That means George went to the bathroom. Andrew Miller says, Justin Fields or Jordan Love. We've answered this a couple of times, but this is a super flex. I mean, still, it's Fields, or the majority was for Love, and then David said Fields. Mahomes has 22 interceptions, 8 fumbles overturned by penalties. Listen, of those interceptions, and exactly right. That's exactly what I was saying. I get what you're saying there, Josh, but I want to say that why are we showing?
Why wouldn't we show him?
I mean, of those 22 interceptions, I want to say like 16 or some abnormally high number of them. Maybe it was 8, but an abnormally high number of those were overturned because Mahomes is good at catching those offside plays, kind of like now Aaron Rodgers is. He catches a guy offsides and he throws an interception because he's chucking it down the field when he might not have. Like when you go back and look at the interceptions that he's thrown overturned due to penalty, I mean, a handful of them were due to obvious pass interference, which makes it much more likely for you to pick off a ball if you mug a receiver, right? So, like, I don't know. These numbers are always dubious to me. Go ahead, Justin.
Well, I was going to say knowing Joshua, which, by the way, man, good to see you back in the chats here. Love you to death, man. But I was going to ask if this was like legitimate, like because he's like, he's a real stats nerd. Like he's really into the spreadsheets and stuff, and he's really, really good with numbers. But he's also sometimes sarcastic. So I was going to ask if this was like a legitimate stat or if he was being sarcastic, because that's kind of wild. But then the next comment, it leads me to believe that these were legitimate numbers. So again,
they're
guys, you need to go follow him. It's at Generally Aware on Twitter or on X, whatever you want to call it, because he's crazy good with these numbers and facts and figures. So
he is, but I'd challenge Josh to go look at those, because I mean, and just kind of like what I just talked about in his career. The second is Aaron Rodgers. He's also a guy who can pay attention to a flag at the start of a play, chuck the ball down the field, even though it's likely to get picked off, because he knows it's coming back anyway. It's just
I bet Josh Allen's up there too.
Josh Allen just throws interceptions. That's just
he does, but he also likes to throw it super deep on third downs when it's third and long, and you got to punt it anyway. He gives his wide receiver a chance to go make a play down there if you're going to punt it on the next play anyway, because he doesn't care if they intercept it 60 yards down the field, because he can throw it as far as the guy can punt it.
Okay, so he said, like I said, it was only 8 of those were free play offsides. So 1/3 of those were free play offsides. Where does that put him if you take those away compared to everybody else? I'd be interested in seeing that. And then going back and looking at some of the other ones. But we got a handful of other comments and questions to get to, so we're going to come off of this. Joe stopped in to say good morning. So good morning, Joe. We need help in a full PPR from Dylan. Andrews or Likely? Justin, I think you're on Likely side this week.
Yeah, I like Likely. I think that they're still trying to slowly ease Andrews back into his role again. There were other similar injuries where they came back at around this time, and it still took about another 6 to 8 weeks for them to really hit full stride. So, if those are my two options, I'm going Likely, because I do think that the tight end spot is a spot to take advantage of against the Buffalo defense.
Yeah, his Andrew's usage is super tough to make him.
Yeah, only 4 routes ran last week.
Anybody have a different opinion on the tight end? I don't think any of us will. So start 2, Akers, Waddle, Jennings. So start 2, Akers, Waddle, or Jennings. I'll let Justin finish that part out.
Akers and Jennings, pretty easy for me.
Anybody disagree with that? All right, we're all sitting Waddle. Start 2 running backs, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Monty, Akers, Walker, Komet, Likely, Michael Wilson. I'll let Rich go first on that one. 2 running backs.
Monty, Akers, and Walker.
And then a tight end.
And then 1 flex.
Komet.
Oh, yeah.
Komet.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And then Justin.
Monty and Akers are my 2 RBs. My tight end there is also Komet. And then for my flex, I think that's where it gets tough. I think Charbonnet has shown enough, and Walker has an oblique injury that he's coming off of. Those are tough to come back from this quickly. I think that it's going to be more of a split there. So I'm going to roll with Michael Wilson just for what I said earlier. With McBride being out, I think he's going to get heavily targeted. So my flex is going to be Wilson.
I'm not going to say you're wrong about the split or the oblique injury, but, the Seahawks did say they weren't going to bring Walker back until he was good and ready. They were going to slow roll it, and Charbonnet looked pretty good last week. So I think if Walker wasn't ready, he'd be sitting out completely this week. So I think he's in for a decent workload, but maybe not to the levels we were seeing before the injury. David,
but also still against the toughest run defense in the league.
Absolutely.
My running backs are Monty and Akers, Komet for tight end, and I'm also going Michael Wilson in the flex.
Okay, so that's 2 for Wilson, 1 for Walker. The other are basically a lock at this point. So let's just, Mark, why don't you pick between Michael Wilson and Walker.
Well,
all right,
tough.
so that
I was going to have both of them. I was going to have Monty, Walker, Likely, and Wilson.
Well, that doesn't. I mean, I'll still have to break the tie.
If I have to go Walker or Wilson, I'm going Walker. over Wilson.
Okay, so that still makes a tie there. So it's Monty and Akers are the 1-2, and then I will take. I'm going to take Walker because tie goes to the runner. So that's Walker, Akers, and Monty. So Dylan also asked, start one quarterback: Mayfield, Richardson, or Caleb. I'm gonna let Justin go first.
I have to look at something, but
Don't do it.
I think I'm going to go Mayfield. Believe it or not, I think none of these are super great. Nah, screw it. Just Caleb Williams. Sorry.
All right. Caleb Williams.
I had to string it along a little bit. It's definitely Caleb Williams.
All right, Rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Caleb too with Keenan Allen there. Gives him more options and stuff like that. So I'm going Caleb.
Man, these tears are falling on my head here, Mark.
Dave.
It's just astonishment.
I'm going to go Baker Mayfield.
David
All
with
right.
the correct pick. So break the tie, Jason. It's Baker Mayfield.
I'm gonna go Baker Mayfield as well. Can't go Caleb. Just
That's
can't.
right.
Ari starting Chase, play Higgins as well, or Shaheed. You know what? I keep going to Justin first, but that's because all these questions should go straight to him. Justin, I know how you feel about Higgins. Would you play him or Shaheed?
Man, that's a tough one because Shaheed also has those games where he just completely disappears. But at least when he's targeted, he usually still catches the football. And not last week. He had 5 targets and no catches, but I don't think he had any drops. So
He did. He dropped one where he could have caught. He caught.
Did he?
He
One
dropped
in the
a
end zone.
bomb in the end zone. Yeah. He dropped a
Gotcha.
touchdown.
Oh, that's right. That was the big long one for sure. Yeah.
I mean, listen,
Hmm.
that says he's getting one of those opportunities in every game, and yeah, he missed last week's, but it was right there.
Man, this is tough because he's also still getting the targets as well. I just don't trust Higgins at all. I really think you need to look at the waiver wire and see if Wilson is out there for Arizona. But man, I gotta go Shaheed.
All right, George, since you're back, welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to go Shaheed over Higgins. Higgins is still working his way back into game shape. He missed most of the preseason, missed the start of the season. First week was last week, wasn't all that impressive. Let him get back into game shape. Give me Shaheed.
I thought he looked like he was in mid-season form.
I mean, he might have been, but I don't know. I don't know.
All right, George, sorry, David.
I'm going to go Higgins.
All right, Higgins
for me.
and Mark.
I'm going Higgins. I think similar to Chase, he just needs a game or two to get back, and I think Carolina's defense will be good for him to bounce back in his second game.
All right, we've got a bunch of questions left. We were supposed to stop 10 minutes ago, so we're going to do speed round because I don't want to miss getting through these questions. Okay. So we're gonna speed through these. Not a lot of George. I'm especially looking at you. Not a lot of exposition. We're looking to just get some answers here. Pick 2 wide receiver and 1 flex. Pickens, Jamison Williams, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, and Christian Watson. Coming off the warning, I'm going to go to George.
So all of these guys are – no, I'm just kidding. Pickens and Deontay Johnson.
One more.
Pickens and Johnson. Okay, one more.
Right?
Say again?
2 wide receiver and a flex.
Yeah.
So 3 wide receivers because they're all wide receivers.
J-Mo.
Yeah.
Pickens,
J-Mo.
J-Mo, and Johnson.
Okay. Mark.
Same.
Okay.
Me too.
That's
Me too.
three.
Same.
All right. Everybody agrees. Cool. Brandon, PPR with Allen back. Still flex Adunze, Chase Brown, Swift, or drop one for Michael Wilson.
I'm still doing a Dunze.
I'm still doing I'd do a Dunze too.
I like Michael Wilson the most for this week, but I don't want to drop any of those guys for him because I think it's just a 1-week thing. So I think, he he started to gain some chemistry with Odunze. Let's see what they got.
Yeah, I'm going to Dunze, and I'm going to call it 2 weeks in a row touchdown for Dunze.
Oh well, then it's official now. Rich isn't. He's not going to be wrong about that.
Yeah, Rich is the guy who he's our soothsayer. All right, Brennan, Andrews or Gasecki? Raise your hand if you want Gasecki. Raise your hand if you want Andrews. All right, 4-2 on that one. Gasecki. Josh Bigby says he's not hip. We already know that, Josh, but you keep making them spreadsheets. It'll happen. Quick Video says DJ, Odunze, Terry, Juwan Jennings, pick 2, half PPR. Rich. I know you're going to Odunze.
Yeah, I'm going to Dunze and Terry.
Odunze and Terry. David.
Is that Deontay Johnson or DJ Moore? I'd assume Deontay Johnson.
Okay.
I was assuming DJ Moore.
That's what I was assuming was DJ Moore. Hey, Chris, we know you're watching.
The reason why I did. I mean, you ain't gonna pick DJ and Dunze Moore. That's the way I went Dunze. So.
Okay, if it's DJ Moore, actually either way, I'm going DJ with no matter which one it is, and then I'm going to go Terry
That's
McLaurin.
Fair.
Same here.
Okay.
I'm going DJ and Jennings.
DJ and Jennings for me as well.
DJ and Terry.
So we've got 2. So we've got DJ and then 2 for Odunze, 2 for Terry, 2 for Jennings. It's DJ and it's gonna be. I'm gonna go with Rich's. Odunze gets a touchdown. Half PPR, Myers, Shakir, or Akers in half PPR.
I think I'm leaving Myers.
So we got 2 saying Myers. Who has somebody besides Myers?
Kind of leaning Shakir.
Okay,
I'm kind of leaning Shakir as well.
I'm going Akers.
All right, so it's between Shakir and Myers, and I am going to take Shakir.
And then the next question is part of a follow-up to this.
And if you don't pick Akers or Pollard in half PPR.
Akers.
Akers.
Oh, whoa. So is that like a flex situation?
Well, would you take Pollard over Shakir?
Yeah.
If it's a flex situation, I'd probably take Shakir and Myers.
Back, so if you're not taking Akers in the flex, probably then are you starting with Pollard?
Akers. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Akers and Shakir for us. Jameson over London for you all. It's just plain weird. Well, that's from earlier.
Not exactly. I mean,
London according to the NFL
really well.
Stats.
Yeah, well, London is playing extremely well. Don't get me wrong, but it's extremely well by London standards, and JMO's just crazy good this year. So last week, Jameson. I know we don't want to do stats. I'm sorry, but I do have to get this out just because I got to defend my guy. I've been on Jameson Williams all off season. Last week going against Arizona, Arizona has practically shut down the wide receiver 2 of all 3 teams they've faced so far. And I just think that that's their setup. That's their game plan. That's who they are as a defense. He goes back to Seattle this week, or back against Seattle. Against Seattle this week, and they tend to let up more to the wide receiver 2 and the slot, which is what Jameson Williams plays. And Williamson, on those 2 games he did well, they were a lot better than the 2 games that London played well. So, yeah.
I should have sent the warning to Justin and not George. George, I apologize. Shaheed, Keenan Allen, JMO, or Pittman Jr. half PPR. I'm going to go with Justin, fresh off warning.
JMO.
Mark.
Just one. JMO.
2 for JMO. George.
I'm going to go Shaheed.
Thanks for looking at the screen. David?
I'm going to go JMO.
Yeah, I'm going to go JMO too.
All right. That's most for – go ahead, Mark, but remember the warning.
Just some depressing news that just came out for Rams. Cooper Kupp will miss at least 2 more weeks, and Puka's out another month.
All right. Sorry for the Rams fans. Chris's videos. Jennings, Ayuk,
you are not.
Jr. or Pittman Jr. I am, because I have Cooper Kupp almost everywhere. Jennings, Ayuk, Shaheed, Thomas Jr., or Pittman in a half PPR. I'm starting with Rich.
Thomas Jr.
Jr., okay. David.
I'm going Thomas Jr. as well.
That's 2. George.
Going Shaheed.
Hey, it's a good show, George. You might want to watch. David. Or, sorry, Mark.
I'm going to take Shaheed's upside.
Okay, 2 for Shaheed, 2 for Thomas Jr.
And by the way, I am watching, but I'm also looking at my rankings and making sure I'm giving at least good, solid advice.
Justin, go ahead.
I'm just surprised you haven't already left us for the other group that you love more, but I'm going Thomas.
All right, so 3 for Thomas, 2 for Shaheed. McD says Shaheed or Worthy. I'm going to start with George, since I got his attention.
Shaheed.
Okay, David.
Shaheed.
Worthy.
So that's 2 for
Sean.
Shaheed. 1 for...
Sean, what's up, buddy? Shaheed.
All right, looks like it was Shaheed. Have a happy Sunday. Break some legs. Not sure how I feel about that. Drake London's very upset. That's okay. Justin, oh yeah, okay, we did that already. Myers or Quentin Johnson or Romeo Dobbs in half PPR. Already starting Bowers. Rich.
I'm still starting Myers. Those 2 are going to be the focal point of this game.
Yeah.
Anybody disagree?
No.
George, go ahead.
Dude, I'm going with Quentin Johnson.
Okay, so 4-1. With Crosby probably out. Play Ford or Akers. David. Akers. Rich.
I played Ford with Max in there because they were still bad when Max was in there with the run defense.
Okay.
I
George.
think I'm going to go Ford. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Ford.
I knew I could answer faster.
Ford.
George.
I'm going to go Akers.
All right. Was that
3-2?
3-2 to Ford. Okay. Oh, yeah. That.
How do I banish people from the chat?
You can't. Lori, we love you. Dustin.
Oh wait, Lori's the executive producer. Damn.
Make an Eagles video if George does a Dolphins one. Okay, George, you've got challenged here. You gotta look
I seen that a long time ago, and I ignored it.
Jamison Williams or McLaurin. Also have Brian Robinson starting. Everybody on JMO's side?
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of JMO's today.
I'm going McLaurin.
Okay, 1 for McLaurin, the rest for JMO. Or sorry, yeah, for JMO. Okay. Rogers in a minute. Okay. Spreadsheet for that. Kyron Williams or Aaron Jones. Wow. Okay. Mark.
Kyron. I mean, he's got a touchdown streak going.
Justin.
I'm gonna go Kyron as well. Well, wait. Aaron Jones. This is
revenge game.
Revenge game. It's a revenge game. Got to go Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
I love Kyron. I love Kyron this week, but I'm going revenge game.
1-1, George.
If I have to bench one, gun to my head, I'm benching Aaron Jones.
David.
Yeah, I would have gone Aaron Jones if he had not said that he is going to do a Lambeau leap if he gets a touchdown. Green Bay's mad now. He's not getting in the end zone. I'm going Kyron.
And Rich.
Kyron.
All right, Kyron it is. DJ Moore. Oh, it was DJ Moore, not Deontay Johnson.
Which still didn't change anything for anybody.
Yeah.
We already discussed that. And that was
Akers.
for his RB2. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, that made a difference though, because I would have started Akers as my RB2 and I probably would have went Pollard with that flex.
Well, guys, we got our last question here, and then we're gonna call it done, so we can all set up our lineups. PPR Najee, Jaden Reed, or Drake London. For the last time, I am going to start with Mark first.
This one's tough. I mean, I'm expecting a big week out of Najee this week, but with it being PPR, who the Falcons got again?
Man, you're lucky this is the last question and I can't give you a warning. Justin, go ahead.
It is a tough one. It is a tough one.
Najee for me. Najee for me.
Cold suck. I'm going Najee.
Rich,
Najee
okay,
for
so
me as well.
Najee. That's 3. George.
It's Najee.
All right, that's 4. Mark, you got an answer yet?
I said London.
Okay. No, it's all Najee. All right, guys, that is going to do it for our show. That's going to do it for our show. I appreciate everybody who stuck with us till the very end. We love doing this show. We get a little goofy in the middle. We wanted to answer all your questions. I think we did that, even if we had to rush through some at the end. I do want to say patreon.com/toilets to titles. We have a tier for every salary. We have that low tier, and then the high tier is you get to go over and hold David's babies. That's a real expensive option, but he's looking for a babysitter, so maybe you guys can work something out. The other high tier is you can go over to Rich's house, and Rich will soothsay for you. He'll read your fortune. And he's got a pretty decent accuracy record so far this year.
So I will only soothsay for you if you go in and hit our like button. We would really like that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit like and subscribe, guys. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for being part of the show every week. And we will catch you this time next week, along with our Tuesday night main show at 9:30 and all of our other shows, kind of like This Guy is Fragile on Friday. So for all of us, thanks, guys.